Now, is it right for teachers to be the ones teaching our kids how to properly clean their teeth as part of their school day? We're talking every day here. Or do you think this shouldn't be done in school and should instead be happening at home? 0207 862 2222 is the number to give us a ring. Primary schools in Swindon are taking part in an NHS-funded campaign to teach young children how to properly brush their teeth. Teachers will be given the training and equipment to carry out daily toothbrushing sessions in the classroom, and it is hoped that the lessons will help reduce tooth decay and therefore keep our kids out of hospital with dental issues. Is it a good idea for the NHS to be funding these teeth training exercises, Nina?
It's an absolute disgrace, frankly, that this has to happen. But thank God it is happening, and somebody is doing something about it. This all comes down to bad parenting. Not every...
Is it bad parenting or is it bad food?
It is bad parenting, because if it's bad food, then it comes from bad parenting also, which may be lack of information, it may be ignorance. It's not... You're not a bad person if you don't know that. But one way or the other, these children are being neglected in this area. They're not being prepared for life. It's like kids turning up at primary school not potty trained when they're aged 5. This is a lacking in parenting these days, and not every kid like Otis has a lovely mum like you who is doing all the right things, you know. So, and I understand. I mean, I've never had children myself, so I can be objective about it. I'm not swayed by, oh my God, you know, I'm a mum and I know the time constraints and all of that and all the pressures, but it seems to me absolutely scandalous that children are being neglected in this way, that they're not being prepared for life.
Okay, but why should the schools have to pick up the slack?
There's nobody else, because schools are now becoming more and more, taking over more and more duties of parents.
Social work, yeah.
Yes, exactly, which shouldn't happen. My mum was a teacher. And a very good science teacher, and I mean, I think she would have been horrified, you know, if kids had turned up without the correct sort of training. I mean, you know, but basic thing, you teach a child to wash itself, to brush their teeth. I mean, that's part of it. And, you know, and the terrible statistic of the greatest factor in hospital admissions for children under the age of 9 is dental extraction.
I mean, as somebody that is brushing their child's teeth twice a day at the moment, it is often a battle with your child. I mean, I thought it would be a really romantic sort of nice notion where mummy and child bonding experience. For anyone that doesn't have experience of trying to brush a toddler's teeth, it's not that romantic. It does feel more like a wrestle than anything else.
Have you tried a musical toothbrush?
I have not, but I'd be willing to try anything. We've tried, I've sung, I've done everything.
But that is part of the job of being a parent, isn't it? It's not always going to be easy, and there are going to be tough things you've got to do. Yeah. But I mean, it's not just, I'm with Nina on this, it's not just the fact that kids are going to school without their teeth cleaned. It's not just the fact that they haven't been properly toilet trained. The state is working up to try and take responsibility off parents giving them to school, like breakfast clubs, OK? Why do you need a breakfast club? When your child gets up in your home, you feed it some breakfast before you send it to school, and then you clean the child's teeth after it's had its breakfast, and then you make sure that they're nice and neat and tidy because they're toilet trained, and then they go to school. I think it's outrageous. I don't wish to cast a slur upon Swindon, but if this is happening in Swindon, then the social services people in Swindon need to get their act together and start visiting a few homes where children are being sent to school with gammy teeth because their parents haven't taught them how to clean their teeth. I think it's an absolute disgrace.
And the other thing is NHS is on its knees, Nina. Is this a good use of their money?
Well, the thing is, they're having to, because unless you get a decent start in life, and you know, being sort of 8 years old and having your second teeth extracted is dreadful. You know,
and actually expensive.
Very expensive, and my heart goes out to these children. Mothers are feeding them, fruit juice, which is the absolute killer for teeth, and there needs to be sort of education programs for parents. I don't know what we do.
Totally agree.
But if the NHS and schools are having to take up the slack, motherhood and parenthood has somehow become sanctified and deified. You know, if you're a parent, all bets are off, and
But the state step in far too easily.
Well, because the state has to.
Well, no,
the state
listen,
shouldn't have to.
I've not always been in tune with the National Association of Head Teachers, particularly during COVID and all that kind of stuff. But when they say it is not the role of teachers to make sure children brush their teeth, and that's the official National Association of Head Teachers,
I agree.
Then you should take notice of that,
but...
and their voice should say more to the authorities who look after children.
But if you saw a child on the side of the road on its own, would you go and help it?
Of course you would.
It's the same thing. It's the same thing.
Let's go to the calls. Trevor from East Sussex, what's your view when it comes to this pilot scheme in Swindon?
Hi, good afternoon. Well, I just don't agree with it. It's a parenting thing. It's like children that are not potty trained or toilet trained. This is a parental right. They should be doing this at a very young age, and
Trevor,
you know, the schools.
Sorry, Trevor, if they're not doing it though, as Nina makes the comment, if you saw a child in distress and needed help, would you help it?
Of course I would, yes.
So this is the state acting in that way, is it not, Trevor?
It's very difficult because haven't the schools got enough to do? And I'm with Mike. The social services need to be involved here because people are having children and they're not bringing them up properly. And it's not.
Trevor, is another interesting method, and maybe a more traditional one that actually, all right, so a child comes in and or a child goes into hospital and they're having teeth extracted because of decay and rotten teeth. Maybe that should have the hospital calling the social services and saying this family needs a visit because they are lacking, even if it is just in the teeth brushing, maybe the parents don't know how to brush their own teeth properly.
Or don't bother, you know, or something like that. I mean, Nina's point on a child on the side of the road, would you go to help it? You would, but you'd also try and source what the problem with the child was, wouldn't you?
Absolutely.
Why is this child left on the side of the road? So you should say, why has this child's teeth not been cleaned properly? Why are the teeth rotting? It is child abuse.
Trevor, thank you very much for your call. Kat from Stoke-on-Trent, what's your view on this pilot scheme? Is there any benefit to it?
I think there is benefit. I don't think anybody's going to do it if we don't. If we say to parents, it's up to you, and they don't do it, I think that the schools don't have very much choice to do it. But I do think Mike's wrong. He's saying about Breakfast Club. My children wake up in the morning, have breakfast, brush their teeth, get dressed, clean. They go to Breakfast Club, eat breakfast again.
Well,
so, I mean, it's not anything about going to the Breakfast Club. Is it anything to do with lazy parenting? But I do think that teeth brushing issues are absolutely it's bad parenting. I've got 6 children. I hold a full-time job, and they are all cared for. They were all toilet trained. They all go with clean teeth. But the other point as well is when you're saying about
Kat,
the hospital.
you've got me stuck here. You have 6
children
and a full-time job.
Yes.
God, I salute you. I salute you.
I'm blown away by that on its own. In fact, that's just stopped the show. I think we can just call it quits and all.
That's super mum,
But
isn't
the
it?
dentist, if my children don't go to the dentist will call social services and say my children haven't attended 3 appointments now, and they will call in the same as if doctor's appointments are missed. So I do think that things are being done.
Okay. Maybe just not across the country, and maybe not to the same way they're getting done in Stoke-on-Trent, but that's really interesting. And also the Breakfast Club thing is very interesting because I think a lot of children do go to Breakfast Club because their parents are going to work.
Does that mean they're having 2 breakfasts then? So
that means that Kat's children,
this very responsible mother of 6 gives her children breakfast and they scoot off to school and say, oh, I haven't had breakfast at home. I think I'll have it here. I mean, sounds to me like it's a bit of a scam going on here.
Well, you say it's a bit of a scam, but kids do eat quite a considerable amount, as I have I've been surprised myself. Kat, thank you very much for your call. Cheryl from Derbyshire, what's your view on teeth brushing clubs at school?
I think it's a waste of money, and Nina might shoot me down in flames, but it is the responsibility of the parent.
Oh, that's exactly what I said.
Teachers are educators. They have enough time taken off them now through having to sort things out with children that should be done in the home.
I completely agree with you, Cheryl. It's exactly what I said. But because this isn't happening, then somebody else has to step in. I mean,
No, they don't, because if a lot of it is down to bad parenting. I mean, when my daughter was at nursery, and you'd got 3-year-olds that were being greeted with a bag of sweets every day, and then they were having the teeth out at 4 and 5.
I agree. I completely agree with you. I've said I've said nothing but this is bad parenting, this is child neglect, it shouldn't happen. But the trouble is it does happen, and it seems to be happening with frequency.
Shouldn't the authorities fight back then and say, it's not going to happen, we're going to try and stop it, and start knocking on the doors of the homes where the children are coming into school with food in their teeth?
I suppose the issue with that way of doing things, Mike, it's just come to me now,
Yeah.
is that by the point that the social services are contacted, they're already in hospital for teeth extraction. So they've already got teeth removed. They've also got terrible oral health, and they're costing the NHS money. I wonder whether, Cheryl, actually this is not a pile of compassion, but this may be a pile of economics in terms of the NHS, because the small amount of money they may pay for a dental nurse if someone to go and show or teaching teachers how to brush children's teeth may be completely outweighed by the money they're going to save not extracting all of those children's teeth in 3 years' time.
Back in the 70s, you had somebody checking the teeth when I was at school, and they had a knit nurse. And if it would be more economical, if that's the case, then to have these things reinstated rather than making it the responsibility of a teacher.
Well, I suppose that's sort of what they're doing.
Same thing.
I suppose it is a very similar thing. But Cheryl, thank you very much. It's just the economic argument may be the one the NHS is going down. Leslie from Flintshire, what's your view on this?
Hello. Hi, panel. I used to be a theatre nurse, and I have taken children's teeth out from the age of 3 to 5 months through surgery, which requires a general anaesthetic. And
3 to 5 months?
the parents are giving them in their bottles Coke and stuff, and their teeth are absolutely ruined. And to be honest with you, I've got no respect for the parents when their children come in. They should be social services should be brought in, because it is that I had one patient. The child had a complete dental clearance, and when they came out and they went into recovery, the parents turned around and said, "Oh, what a good girl! We'll get you a laptop for being such a good person."
I mean, well, I suppose if your child's just come out of a serious surgery, you would want to make them feel better in some way. So that's not really the criticism. The Coca-Cola in a bottle.
I know, but you wouldn't buy them a laptop for it, would you?
Well, I mean, if it was the parents' fault for putting him in that position, maybe that's the least they owe the child. But Leslie, I totally see your point. First of all, did you say between 3 and 5 months, or did you mean 3 or 5 years old getting their teeth?
3 and 5 years. No, other teeth don't come in between 3 and 5 months.
This is what I was thinking. I was
it's
like,
3 and 5
what
years.
is happening? The Coca-Cola in a bottle, I have seen Iron Brew in a bottle, which was quite a shocker to me. But Leslie, that's a real eye-opener. Thank you so much for calling and sharing your stories. I don't think it answers our question as to how we solve the problem, but certainly an eye open to the extent of the problem. Sorry,
I was going to say, if they can afford a laptop, they can surely afford a toothbrush and toothpaste, which is...
And the time to show them how to use it.
What they sometimes go, well, how can, underprivileged families afford toothbrushes? You can get 5 in a pack from Primark, practically.
But it's the time a parent takes to teach their child how to brush. It's just
basic
negligent
ethos
parenting.
of being a parent. What you have to do.
Okay.
Don't be a parent if you don't.
Thank you very much for all your calls on this.